On September 28th, 2021, New World was released by Amazon Game Studios. It has now been 1 full year since New World has been out. For those of you who are new to the video game or have not heard of New World is an open world MMO where you're able to go around the world of Ethereum, collect different resources such as gathering trees, foraging plants, mining rocks, various stones. You can also go around the world and find various animals such as pigs, wolves, buffaloes, etc., etc. And if you skin them, you can get resources from them, which you can use later to craft better armor and other resources such as like a backpack. A great feature about New World is their social aspect space. As you can see, we are in an area called Windsward, and if we go around, you can see real players standing there and moving around doing their own life. This adds a lot of lively to New World, where a lot of MMOs don't really have that in terms of how interactive it is. As you can see, all these player models are actual people playing in real time. New World also has an insane marketplace option, the trading post, where you are able to either sell items that you have. For example, I could sell this aged wood that I have, and you can see how much the price is for one piece of wood. You can also buy items such as weapons, tools, apparel, resources, and consumables. So at front, New World seems like a really fun game, and it seems like everybody's gonna love it, and that's what everyone thought, until there was a massive issue at the beginning of the game's launch. Starting off, player queue times was a massive problem for the game. Trading post visual bugs were starting to happen. Boss quests were not being shared, which means a lot of people want to stop playing the game. And last but not least, PvP lag and instability drove so many players away. So let's go over some data of how the player count dropped and go over each one individually. Alright, so let's look at some data. So according to SteamCharts.com, if we look at New World's video game peak player count, as you can see, it's all organized by month. So let's look at October 21st. Over 410,000 players were playing in October of 2021. 1 month, literally a week after its release. Now, it hit a peak in October of 913,000 players at once, which means there was 900,000 players playing all at the same time in October 2021. However, if we look at the next month, November of 2021, there is a significant drop. 357,000 players compared to 900,000 is really, really bad. It had a negative 255,000 player count drop, and it had a negative 62% drop in player base. So, of course, one of the main issues was the queue times. As you can see, position in queue is 1,299. Now, this is actually from when I was queuing for the game back in October and November. But as you can see, I was in the queue for the open world, and I had to wait pretty much at 6 in the morning just to try to get into the game. That way I could actually play in the afternoon. And it was brutal. As you can see, there's other players who don't have the time, have to go to work or school. They're not going to want to wait in a 1,000-player queue just to get into the game and then, only play it for a couple hours. So as you can see, queue times are really brutal, which made a lot of players not want to play the game. One of the main issues of New World when it first came out in the first couple weeks are the bugs. The first bug was the marketplace issue with incorrect icons of items, the naming of places, the prices, and people were getting very confused on what they were actually buying and selling. For example, orc ingots as raw hide, and then they were showing bars as the current sell order and price order, which confused a lot of players to the point where they weren't knowing what they were selling or buying, which was a huge disaster for the economy of the game. Another massive issue with New World was its boss spawning and questing. Now, the way it works is that if you had to go kill a named boss, it would only take about 30 to an hour for it to spawn. And the issue is that if there were other players around you, only the person who got the last hit on the boss would get the completion. So players have to fight to get the last hit, and as you can see, if there are about 30 to 20 players, and there's only one of you, it's very slim that you're going to get credit, and you're going to have to wait 30 minutes. So this caused a lot of people to get furious, and just stop playing the game in general, because they weren't getting credit for bosses. Another massive issue with New World that drew a lot of people away was its PvP. Now, in terms of PvP, there was this system called wars, where you would go fight other factions in this war to win territory, essentially. The issue was the massive amount of lag people on both ends would receive, to the point where it was unplayable and nobody was able to capture the zone if they were attacking. Essentially, it was one-sided for the defense to always win, since the attackers couldn't get onto the point of how much lag there was, and there were just so much desyncing issues to the point where the game wasn't playable. So, of course, New World suffered a lot of issues at its beginning of its launch, but not all things are terrible. Now that it's been over a year since the game has been out, there's actually been a lot of fixes the game has done. So, let's go over a couple of things that New World has done over the year that has improved the game and actually have made it much better than it initially was. So they actually fixed a lot of core issues to the game. The lag is actually very minimal now, which is great. The looting feels very, very rewarding. The bosses now go to everybody who's in the range. Whenever people loot chests, they all share it together now, and the rewards are individual. They added an expertise system to the game where whenever you grab gear, it goes to your piece of armor specifically. So essentially, you don't have to get RNG every time, which means your armor doesn't have a chance to go up. It is guaranteed to go up every single time you loot something in the game. Not only has New World already fixed so many issues, they have actually just released a brand new DLC on October 17th called Brimstone Sands, and the community response has been exceptionally well for the game. As you can see, 31,000 people have been playing it just 8 minutes ago already, and there is in the last 30 days, it has hit a peak of 69,000 players, which is 15,000 more players than it was last month. So people are actually interested in the DLC, which is really good for the game. So after having a rough couple of months launch, Amazon Game Studios has proved that they have fixed majority of the issues that the community wanted over its course of this year, and the brand new DLC, Brimstone Sands, that just launched, has been doing exceptionally well, and a lot of players are loving the new reception of the DLC. So now that New World has been out for a year, hopefully that Amazon Game Studios is able to continue creating content for this game, keeping the player base stable and up, and maybe bringing some new old familiar faces back with some, events or more DLCs. Other than that, my name is Kevin Mendoza, reporting for The Breeze. This was a New World 1-year anniversary synopsis. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.